Section 3.1, Measure of center. A measure of center is a value at the center or the middle of a data set. There are 4 numbers that we can use to measure the center. The first one is the mean. The second one is median. The third one is the mode. And the fourth one is mid-range. The mean of a set of data is the measure of the center found by adding all of the data values and dividing the total by the number of data values. Sample means drawn from the same population tend to vary less than other measure of center. The mean of a data set uses every data value. A disadvantage of the mean is that just one extreme value can change the value of the mean substantially. That means the mean is not resistant. A statistic is resistant if the presence of extreme values does not cause it to change very much. And the mean is not resistant. This little sign is a Greek letter, it's called sigma. This means the sum of a set of data values. X is the variable usually used to represent the individual data values. N represents the number of data value in a sample, or it can also be called a sample size. Capital N represents the number of data values in a population, or population size. X bar stands for sample mean, and that is equal to the sum of all values divided by the sample size. Mu stands for population mean, equals to the sum of all data values divided by the population size. Example 1. Airport data speeds includes measures of data speeds of smartphones from 4 different carriers. Find the mean of the first 5 data speeds for Verizon: 38.5, 55.6, 22.4, 14.1, and 23.1. So my job is to find the mean, and this is only a sample because there are only first 5 data speeds. So this is going to be a sample mean. Sample mean equals to the sum of all data values divided by the sample size. I have 5 different data values, so I need to add them up. And there are total 5 values, so my n is 5. So the sum of all of my data values equals to 153.7 divided by 5, and it's equal to 30.74. And the mean will have the same unit as the original data. The median of a data set is a measure of the center, that is the middle value when the original data values are arranged in order of increasing or decreasing. The median does not change by large amounts when we include just few extreme values, so the median is resistant. The median does not directly use every data value. Example 2. They asked me to find the median for this data. So the first thing I'm going to do is rearrange the data so that they are from the smallest to the greatest. And the median is the number right in the middle. So my median for this problem is 23.1. Example 3, they want me to find the median for this data with 6 different values. The first thing I'm going to do is always rearrange my data from the least to the greatest. Because this data set has 6 different values, so there's no actual number right in the middle. In order to find a median, I am going to take the average of the 2 middle values. So I'm going to take 23.1 plus 24.5 divided by 2 to get to my median. The mode of a data set is the values that occurs with the greatest frequency. The mode can be found with qualitative data. A data set can have no mode or one mode or multiple modes. When 2 data values occur with the same greatest frequency, each one is a mode and the data set is said to be bimodal. When more than 2 data values occur with the same greatest frequency, each is a mode and the data set is said to be multimodal. When no data value is repeated, we say there is no mode. Example 4. Find the mode of these spring data speed. So in this data set, we have 0.2, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, 0.6, 0.6, 1.2. To find the mode, all we do is just looking for the data that repeat the most number of times. So in this example, 0.3 repeats 3 times. So 0.3 is my mode. Find the mode of the data speeds of 0.3, 0.3, 0.6, 4, and 4. So in this data set, I have 0.3 repeats twice and 4 repeats twice. So I have 2 modes in this data set. Example B. Find the mode of the data speeds of 0.3, 1.1, 2.4, 4, and 5. None of these data values is repeating. So in this example, we have no mode. The mid-range of a data set is the measure of the center. That is the value midway between the maximum and the minimum. It is found by adding the maximum and the minimum and divided by 2. So to find the mid-range, we take the maximum value plus the minimum value divided by 2. Because the mid-range uses only the maximum and the minimum, it is very sensitive to those extreme values, so mid-range is not resistant. In practice, the mid-range is rarely used, but it has 3 redeeming features. First, the mid-range is very easy to compute. Second, the mid-range helps reinforce the very important point that there are several different ways to define the center of the data set. Third, the value of the mid-range is sometimes used incorrectly for the median, so confusion can be reduced by clearly defining the mid-range along with the median. Example 6. Let's find the mid-range of this data set. To find the mid-range, I have to define my minimum value and my maximum value first. The mid-range equals to the maximum value plus the minimum value divided by 2. Round-off rules of measures of the center. For median, mean, and mid-range, carry 1 more decimal place than is present in the original set of values. For the mode, leave the value as is without rounding. Next, we are going to learn how to calculate the mean from a frequency distribution. So to find the mean of the frequency distribution, we have the formula saying that we need to take the frequency times your value, and then we take the sum of all of those divided by the sum of the frequency, which is your sample size. Example 7. Let's try to find the mean for this frequency distribution. In this distribution, I have 5 different classes, and each class has its own frequency. The first thing I'm going to do is find the x value, and in here I'm using the class midpoint for my x. To find the class midpoint, I take the lower class limit plus the upper class limit divided by 2. Next, I am going to take f times x. So f is the frequency and x is my midpoint. So I'm going to take 11 times 99.5, 24 times 149.5, 10 times 199.5, 3 times 249.5, and 2 times 299.5. Next, I am going to add all of these numbers up, and I get 8,025. And then I'm going to put those numbers into the formula. So the top one is the sum of f times x, which is 8,025. And the denominator is just the sum of f, which is 50. $8,025 divided by 50, I get 160.5 seconds. Similar formula can be used on a weighted mean as well, but instead of frequency, we have the weighted for each certain value. Example 8. In her first semester of college, a student of the author took 5 courses. Her final grades, along with the number of credits for each course, were A is a 3-credit class, A is a 4-credit class, B for the 3-credit class, C for the 3-credit class, and F for the 1-credit class. The grading system assigns a quality point to the letter grades that follow. A is a 4, B is a 3, C is a 2, D is 1, and F is 0. Compute her grade point average, which is the GPA. So there are 2 things that I need to consider: her grade and the number of credit. So I'm going to list out all of the classes with their corresponding credits. So in total, the student took 14 credits. So that is the sum of W. Now, I need to convert this letters into countable numbers. So an A is equivalent to a 4, a B is equivalent to a 3, C is a 2, D is 1, and F is 0. So I'm going to substitute that in. Next, I'm calculating the W times X. So I'm going to multiply these 2 numbers. So I have 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. 9, 6, and 0. Then I am going to add all of these up. And I get 43. So on the formula to find my average, I have the sum of Wx divided by the sum of x, which is 43 divided by 14, which is 3.07. That is her GPA for the first semester. To calculate mean, median, and mode on StatCrunch, first you need to import the data to StatCrunch. Once your data is imported, click on Stat, Summary Stats, and Column. Choose a column. Down here, I want to choose mean because I want to calculate mean. If you select median, it will replace your mean, and you don't want to replace it. So choose mean. Now, if you want to add median, and if you are using Windows, then you should hit Shift and then click on median. If you're using Mac, then should be Command, click, and then mode, compute. This is your mean, median, and mode.